Welcome to Michigan's WW1 Centennial News Report for July 2018. The Survivor, Beaverton, Michigan, part of the 100 Cities, 100 Memorials project for the WW1 Centennial Commission. The State Report. On June 30th at 10 a.m. in Beaverton, Michigan, the Survivor Memorial was rededicated. It's part of the 100 Cities, 100 Memorials project. In attendance were Susan Menengay from the Pritzker Military Museum and Library, also representing the National WW1 Centennial Commission, Ken Hibble, WW1 Centennial Commissioner, Dennis Skupinski, Chair of Michigan's WW1 Centennial Commission, and a host of others from Beaverton, Michigan. Michigan's WW1 Centennial Commission is proud to announce that the WW1 maquette, the 1/6 scale model of the WW1 Memorial that will be erected in Pershing Park, Washington, D.C., will be coming to Michigan for the Over Here event August 4th and 5th in Grass Lake, Michigan. Michigan will be the first state that the WW1 maquette will visit, and it will be hosted at Michigan Military Heritage Museum at 153 North Union Street in Grass Lake. For more information, please go to our website, ww1cc.org/Michigan. Michigan's WW1 Centennial event Over Here will be hosted by the Village of Grass Lake Saturday, August 4th and Sunday, August 5th. At the Cole House will feature home front activities. At the Pavilion will be music, and at the Michigan Military Heritage Museum will be military items and the WW1 maquette. Please stop by and visit Michigan's WW1 Centennial event. On November 11th, 2018, at 11 a.m., the Armistice Bell Ringing Ceremony will take place. In 1918, on the 11th day in the 11th month, at the 11th hour, the Allies and Central Powers agreed to a ceasefire that would mark the end of the World War. The National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. will hold a bell ringing ceremony at 11 a.m. on Sunday, November 11th, 2018, to commemorate the centennial of the armistice. Local churches, schools, courthouses, and other entities are invited to participate at the time of this nationwide occasion at each respective time zone. It is with high hopefulness that we will all join in this nationwide commemoration and hope and prayer for a perpetual, world-lasting peace. For information, contact Jerry Benson, 517-373-2353. Just a reminder to check the latest events for Michigan's WW1 Centennial. Please go to ww1cc.org/Michigan. One century ago, July 1918. On July 1st, 1918, the force in German East Africa reached its southernmost penetration point in Portuguese East Africa. On July 1st, the German force was commanded by Colonel von Lettow-Vorbeck. July 6, 1918, the new German ambassador to the Soviet Union, Count Mirbach, was murdered at the German embassy in Moscow. He was shot several times by a Russian political activist. On July 15, 1918, near the River Marne in the Champagne region of France, the Germans began what would be their final offensive push during the First World War, dubbed the Second Battle of the Marne. The conflict ended several days later in a major victory for the Allies. On the night of July 16, 1918, at Yekaterinburg, Russia, The Tsar and his family were killed by Bolshevik soldiers. Initially, it was announced that only the Tsar was killed and his wife and family were safe. About 8 years later, it finally came out that the Tsar's family were all murdered. On July 17, 1918, the RMS Carpathia was sunk by a German U-boat in the Atlantic. This is the same ship that rescued the survivors of the RMS Titanic in April of 1912. On July 18th through the 22nd, the Battle of Soissons took place. The battle was between the French with the British and American assistance and the German armies. The battle ended with the French recapturing most of the ground lost to the Germans during the spring offensive of May of 1918. On July 21st, 1918, Chateau Thierry in France was retaken by Allied forces led by the American Army. On July 21st, 1918, German submarine U-156 shelled Nasset Beach in Orleans, Massachusetts. This is the only time the American soil was attacked during the World War. On Flag Day, June 14, 1925, in front of a crowd of about 3,000 people in Beaverton, Michigan, American Legion Post 171 unveiled its new World War memorial, The Survivor. The Survivor Memorial is a cement statue and was designed and hand-carved by German sculptor and artist Helmuth Von Zengen. Von Zengen reportedly dated Elva McKimmey, and the monument was a tribute to her family members. Jasper and Caroline McKimmey of Beaverton had 3 sons, Walter, Raymond, and Earl. All 3 had fought during the World War, with Earl dying of diphtheria in 1918 while serving. The Survivor Memorial by Von Zengen shows 3 American soldiers, 1 dead, 1 wounded, and 1 still alive, the survivor. Helmuth Von Zengen was born in 1886 in Germany. He began sculpting as a child, fashioning shapes from candle wax. He enjoyed the benefits of being born to a well-off family, which included private tutoring and private study at various European art masters. He spent 4 years at the Royal Academy in Berlin and later was associated with Berlin's Museum of Art. He traveled throughout Europe and then arrived in the United States at age 21. He taught at an art school in New York City, where he designed the reception hall of the 1825 New York House of Refuge. During World War I, he served as an American officer and afterwards became a teacher, but found himself bored and he wanted to pursue his artistic talents. He invented a substitute for stone that would make creation of large statues and monuments more affordable. Von Zengen's process reduced the cost of materials and labor to a fraction of what traditionally created sculptures cost. He patented this process. The stone substitute was applied in layers over a skeletal frame and then shaped, making a chisel rarely necessary. The process could render the beautiful effects of marble or opalescent sheens by addition of ground coal or glass respectively. The memorial statue for the American Legion in Beaverton, Michigan, the survivor, was made of pigmented concrete. The 100 Cities, 100 Memorials program is sponsored by the Pritzker Military Museum and Library, the United States WW1 Centennial Commission, and is supported by the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. It was designed to help community groups restore and replace in the public mind local World War I memorials to commemorate the centennial of the Great War. The grants go for physical work on the memorials and highlighting World War I's ongoing impact on the world. Rededication ceremony at Ross Lake Park began on June 30th, 2018 at 10 a.m. Master of Ceremonies was Scott Govitz, former mayor of Beaverton, Michigan. Reveille call was made by Cade Schuster. color guard by David Richmond, and the invocation was by Reverend Martin Hodge. Special guests included Susan Menengay from the Pritzker Military Museum and Library. She's a project manager for the Midwest and also represented the National WW1 Centennial Commission. Dennis Skupinski, chair of Michigan's WW1 Centennial Commission, and commission member Ken Himble. At the survivor rededication ceremony on June 30th around 10 a.m., the temperature was about 95 degrees and very humid, one of the hottest days of the year, but the ceremony went on. The program on June 30th, 2018 tried to follow the same ceremony that went on June 14th, 1925. The Survivor Memorial was the only statue or memorial in Michigan to win the 100 Cities 100 Memorial Program Award. One item new to the 1925 ceremony was a missing man or fallen comrade table. This was in memory of fallen, missing, or imprisoned military service members. A special thank you to Scott Govitz, the Master of Ceremonies, the town of Beaverton, and the residents of Gladwin County for making the survivor rededication ceremony possible and also keeping alive the memory of the First World War.
Morning and a great day to be in America. We want to welcome you to Ross Lake Park and to the city of Beaverton for this special day in our local history as we rededicate the Survivor Monument here in Ross Lake Park. I want to just ask that you silence your phones for the remainder of this service, please, if you haven't already done so. And I want to offer some thank yous and recognitions as we begin. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the city of Beaverton for the fine job that they did in preparation for today. And you'll hear some thank yous of the committees as well who have put in all of the effort to make this day possible. I want to say also thank you to the donors. Many of you are donors to this project, a true community project. And at the end of the service, you'll have an opportunity to actually donate, if you haven't already, and take part in helping us to continue to raise funds for the remaining work that we have to do. We have some individuals in the crowd that I would like to recognize. I want to say thank you and welcome Mayor Ray Naw from Beaverton. And I also want to say welcome to the commissioners that are here from the county as well as the city council members from the communities. I want to thank Mayor D. Youngman from Gladwin and their council members as well. Ashton Bortz is here representing Congressman John Molinar. Senator Jim Stamas is here today, along with Representative Jason Wentworth. Also flanking us, you'll notice that we have the Michigan Patrol Guard. The riders are with us today, and we're so pleased to have them flanking us and holding the American flag. At this time, I would also like to recognize our veterans, and I imagine many of you are already standing. If you are, you can give us a wave, but if not, and you're seated, would you please stand, veterans, so that we can recognize you at this time. Past State Commander John Mella of the American Legion Department of Michigan for the reading of the names.
Thank you. Good morning. In 1925, The Morris Manley American Legion Post in Beaverton, consisting of veterans from World War I, along with a strong community support, erected this beautiful monument. Quote, to preserve the memories and incidents of associations in the Great War, unquote. These words were taken from the preamble to the Constitution of the American Legion. In late 1920, upon the family's request and permission granted by France, the remains of 46,000 U.S. soldiers and sailors were brought back to the United States at U.S. government expense. At least 15 of them were brought home and buried in Gladwin County. The remaining soldiers and sailors are buried in military cemeteries in foreign countries. However, they all served, fought, and died in uniform during the Great War to end all wars, as it was called at that time. However, as we know, history has dictated different. Starting out, died in service, United States Army Private Raymond Arts, born 11th April 1887, died 16 October 1918, buried Oakland Cemetery, Calhoun County, Michigan. As a result of service, died Milford Brown, born 20th August 1894, died 7th September 1920, buried Butman Cemetery, Gladwin County, Michigan. Died in service, United States Naval Reserve Force, Edmund Cornelius Burke, born 10th February 1892, died 18 September 1918, buried Saginaw, Michigan. Killed in action, United States Army Sergeant Russell R. Davis, born October 1893, died 11th October 1918, buried Overseas Military Cemetery, France. Died in service, United States Army Mechanic William Frederick Day, born 25th April 1897, died 2nd April 1919, buried Highland Cemetery, Gladwin, Michigan. Killed in action, United States Army Perry W. Epley, born 18 October 1894, died 30th September 1918, buried New River Cemetery, Huron County, Michigan. Arlington County, Virginia. In closing, let us not forget, let us always remember.
For service to America. We remember your heartache on this day. For those who served America in service past and present, we remember and thank you beyond words on this day. We thank you for the ultimate sacrifice of years of normal life. We thank you for believing that democracy is worth fighting for. Democracy does not come without cost. And we thank you for our departed heroes and loved ones as well. For our freedom, and we honor and will never forget those sacrifices that each of you have made without hesitation. On this day, we remember our veterans. We remember all service personnel in our history and say thank you for your love of country and of all mankind. You are Americans, you are heroes. May God bless each of you, and may God continue to richly bless America.